What makes humans worthy of human rights? My name is Michael Otts and I'm an author and speaker. And in my travels into universities all across Europe, I find this concept of human rights is one that many students are passionate about, and for obvious reasons. We think that human rights are really important. But have you ever stopped to ask the more fundamental question? What gives humans their rights? What gives us this sense of value and dignity that we place upon all of humanity? Where does that idea come from? We might just assume that this idea is self-evident, but actually a brief look through history would show that that's just not the case. Not all cultures and generations have valued human rights in the way that we do today. We might just assume that it's part of the natural evolution of society, but again, I'm not sure that's the case. Tom Holland, the historian, in his book Dominion, says that human rights are actually a natural consequence of the Christian revolution that has impacted our world more than we would care to imagine. Actually, Yuval Noah Harari, the atheist Israeli historian, says the same thing. He says human rights are a direct consequence of the revolution that Christianity has brought to our world. The only thing is, as an atheist, he has to say that ultimately they're just a myth. They don't have any objective basis. See, human rights are a consequence of Christianity. Think of some of the great victories of human rights through the last few hundred years. Think of William Wilberforce, a Christian politician, standing against the slave trade. Think of Martin Luther King, a Christian preacher, leading the civil rights movement in America. Or think of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. That was drafted by Charles Malik, a Lebanese Christian theologian, who was convinced of this view of human rights because of his understanding of the Bible. So you might say, what is it about Christianity that's led to this concept of human rights? Where does that idea come from within the Christian faith? Well, there are two things in particular that give us this concept of human rights in the Bible. The first is at the very beginning, and that is that the Bible says that we're created in the image of God. We're not just the accidental consequence of an unguided process, but we are created by God, and we are given uniquely and specifically value and dignity because we are to reflect something of what God is like. Something of God is reflected in each one of us. But also, incredibly, the Bible says we have value, not just because God created us in His image, but that God also became one of us. At Christmas, we celebrate that incredible fact that God Himself became part of the human race. And in joining Himself to our race, God gives us value and dignity. Isn't that incredible? If that's true, that means that each one of us has value, not because of what exam results we may or may not get, not because of what job we may or may not one day work in. Each of us has value and dignity because of who we are, created in the image of God. That means that we're not human doings, we are human beings. We have that value inherent in each one of us. And that is such a revolutionary idea. But it does lead to another question, and it's this. If each of us has such value and dignity, why is it that humanity is capable of living and acting in such depraved and evil ways? Why is it, as we look at our TV news, as we look around our world, we see humanity acting in anything but a dignified manner? And that's because the Bible says, as human beings, although we're created in the image of God, we've also fallen short of His glory. We're not the people that we should be. Actually, although we're capable of great acts of kindness and love, we're also capable of great destructive acts of evil. And therefore the question is, are we still valuable to God? Has God had enough of humanity, or does He still care about you and me? And the incredible thing is that He does. And we know that, not just because He became part of the human race in Jesus, but the incredible claim is that in Jesus, God Himself gave Himself for us. How much are you worth? The Christian faith says God Himself was willing to give His life for you and me so that we could be forgiven, so that we could have the wrong taken away, our lives restored, and us brought back into a relationship with the God who made us and loves us. And that relationship with God is the thing that gives us ultimate value and dignity. Now, these questions are huge and we could look at them in much more detail. So why not join us tonight, 7:30, for a live discussion about this topic. We'd love to have you with us. And also, why not message us your questions about this topic as well? We would not only like to send you an answer, but we'll also send you a treat. So do get in touch, and we hope to be able to talk more.